Hello and welcome. It's another exciting episode of Startup. Now, today's show is particularly interesting because I'm learning about things that I didn't even know existed. And if you keep watching, you will learn a thing or two as well. I'm joined in the studio today by Priscilla Musenge, who is the founder and CEO of Entomo Farm. Welcome.
Thank you.
To the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, so let's get started. Can you give us a bit of a background? And I'd like you to drop the bombshell a bit later, but just give us a bit of a background of the farm and how it started and where you are right now.
Okay, thank you. As a small-scale farmer, my journey with Entomo Farm began in 2017, at the end of 2017, when I was looking for alternatives, affordable and sustainable for my chickens. I then began to look up options over the internet, and I came up with literature and some videos about black soldier fly farming, which I thought were very intriguing, very interesting, and so I decided to take them on. Fast forward to 2020, we're now a registered company, and we have 3 members of staff, 2 part-time and myself working full-time. So we are on a mission to produce a low-cost and affordable, high-quality protein alternative for feed, fertilizer, and futuristically for human consumption. So in a nutshell, that's just a bit about the farm. We would like to, or we see ourselves aligning to Sustainable Development Goals 1, 2, and 3, which are no hunger, zero poverty, and good health and well-being.
Okay, so in case you missed the detail about what exactly the farming is, what do you farm? Break it down.
So, interesting question, one that I get very often.
All the time.
Yes, we are farming the black soldier fly for its larvae. So this is a fly, obviously, but it's very different from your house fly.
Right.
I'll give you one of the main differences. It doesn't have a mouthpiece, so it's very unlikely for it to transmit disease.
Okay.
Its larvae are higher in protein than that of soybeans. So they have a crude protein amount of between 42 and 47%, whereas soybeans only has 35%.
Wow.
So we are farming the larvae to process it for feed, for fertilizer, and like I said, for human consumption futuristically.
Okay, so how has it been so far?
An interesting journey.
Please.
We've been on board several startup programs. We have had a bit of consumer or would-be consumer engagement. We have I want to call it positive, constructive criticism, because obviously this is new, not only commercially, not only to Lusaka, but to the country as well. I would like to state that insects that are consumable are very popular on the market. You have your mopani worms, ifinkubala, that are readily available. But this actual choice of insect, this black soldier fly, is relatively new on the market. So we've had a lot of questions about the safety, about things like the profitability for farmers themselves, and how sustainable it is. It's given us a chance to learn. We have been learning throughout the process, because you have chicken farmers that you can go and have lessons with, you have fish farmers that you can go but we are literally learning this. We are learning the process and working on perfecting it. So we've received good feedback. I really want to look at it as good, because it's teaching us how to better our product as well.
Okay, so you said some of the reasons or some of the things that you thought of were how profitable it would be. Can you tell us how profitable has it been? And because this is somewhat something that not many other people are doing in Zambia. So do you have any competition?
Our main competition at the moment are conventional feed companies. You have your Novatech, your Savannah, because that's what's on the market.
Right.
And that's what everyone has been using. However, in terms of profitability, our main raw material or raw ingredient is your household kitchen waste, which is readily available.
Right.
We have problems of waste in Lusaka. We have, everywhere you go, there's waste. So because it's readily available, you are then able to meet your costs, and you are then able to produce a highly nutritious and palatable product without having to put in so much into your operations. Going back to your question, we have competition, and our main competition are the conventional feed companies, but it's a really exciting time for us because it's opening doors to a lot of players. I have come across, I think it's in Choma, a company that's processing crickets.
Wow.
Crickets for cricket meal. So those are smaller entities, but still competition that are in the market, looking to compete with the same or similar products.
Okay, so obviously you have people like me that as soon as they heard fly, they're like, what do you mean? So how has the perception, or rather the reception of this alternative feed been from your consumers? And how much work did you have to do to actually convince them to try it?
So it's been very mixed. We have chosen to go, because our target market is really small and medium scale rural and urban farmers.
Okay.
We have decided to go that route. We are looking into sensitization, and we've targeted women and youth farmers. It's been said, when you empower a woman, you empower a nation.
Right.
So we are looking to teach them the importance and the benefits of insect farming, so that they then can go on with their chicken rearing and go and tell Mrs. X on their benefits. So in our capacity building program, we are looking to work on small fish ponds, chicken rearing facilities and crops, so that we can actually bring some of our would-be customers on site and just teach them the basics about the product, so that they themselves get to see and compare the conventional feed to our feed and see, which one outweighs the other.
Okay, so right now, is it safe to assume that the feed is the main focus? Are you planning on diversifying and doing more products out of?
Right now, we're actually just focusing on feed and fertilizer, with a futuristic intention of introducing it for human consumption. It's edible, it's safe, and after we go through the Zambia Bureau of Standards certification, we'll then begin rollout process, but that's probably in the next 2 or 3 years.
All right, so with the interactions that you've had with your would-be consumers, or the people that are actually already consuming, have you ever had a situation where people have just outright said no?
Yes.
Really?
A few colleagues in the industry just really won't try it.
And what are their reasons, and is there room to change their minds?
I think there's room. I really think with everything new with change comes a lot of struggle.
That's true.
No matter what change you're looking at. I want to believe that our brand is something we need to build on, because we need to gain their confidence.
Right.
It's not so much just about lower price, but you have to actually win their trust. So there are some people that have just outrightly said no because of the choice of insect. It's a fly. And it can come with all manner of disease, but I'll take you back to what I said. It has no mouthpiece. It does not transmit any disease, and it's actually a readily available product, highly nutritious as well. So we're trying to sort of get this message out to people, to move away from your notion of saying, because it's a fly, and with what people want to say, these are maggots. We call them larvae. It's all of those little things that actually make a difference in putting out a message and actually winning people's trust about our product.
Okay, so basically the sensitization that's what's driving your boosting of consumer demand.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so obviously with every single situation or every single business venture, there is some more resistance, or there's more challenges. Other than the ones that you've already mentioned, what other challenges are you facing?
That would be the main one, but the COVID pandemic sort of brought with itself the major challenge of equipment sourcing. As mentioned as alluded to earlier, it's a new niche on the market. With very little equipment locally available. So we have been looking to purchase some equipment from China, and obviously that being the epicenter at some point, it was very difficult to actually get through. But China has really opened up, and we're looking to seal the deal on a few equipment purchases, and to at least have them here and begin some form of full-time operations.
Okay, so allow me to pick your brain a bit. on the other side of things. What are your thoughts on the state of agro-processing companies in Zambia, and how has the industry evolved, in your opinion, in the last few years?
Interesting question. When you look at the likes of companies like Yalelo or Fresh Picked or Majoro, in my opinion, this gives the impression, especially their presence in the market and their dominance, so to speak, it gives the impression that agro-processing is actually one of the major contributors to Zambia's GDP. Having said that, I still believe that there's potential for a fly farmer like myself to penetrate the market, to bring on a new product and to sort of grow and diversify in that manner. What I do feel is lacking is financial inclusion and investment in small and medium scale farmers like myself. It's one thing to have a great idea, but it's another thing to implement it.
And implement it, right.
So I feel there's a lot of room for new players. There's room for everyone with everything. But it's access to capital in many cases, in my experience, that has limited the players to come on board and to actually showcase what they have to offer.
All right. Okay, so right now we're going to take a very, very short break. We'll be back, and you're still watching Startup. Welcome back to Startup. In case you're just joining us, we're talking about something very, very interesting. And I'm speaking with Priscilla Musenge, who is the founder and CEO of Entomo Farm. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning because I feel like the people who are watching right now need to understand how you went from, I want an alternative feed for my chickens, to, I'm going to farm flies.
Right.
Please give us a little bit of a guided route on your journey.
Okay, so taking you back a bit to career-wise, I'm actually not a farmer, a full-time. Well, I wasn't a full-time farmer at the time. I come from a background of hospitality and insurance, spanning over 12 years actually.
Wow.
I sort of juggled. You know how you have a full-time job and you still need to make ends meet, and I have 3 other businesses actually, in smoked fish and jerky making and in farming as well. So obviously you're trying to make ends meet and you're trying to balance your finances. You're looking for options.
Right.
As I mentioned, I started reading up and watching videos and learning about the farming itself. It took 2 whole years to actually come to sort of put myself together and say this is something that I want to do. I left my job in September of this year and fully took it on and said, look, I'm definitely convinced this is a route I would like to take. But it did take a lot of questions introspectively, as well as from people saying, look, are you sure you want to do this? But I saw not only an opening in this niche, but the bigger picture for me was reaching out to lower end communities who can't afford a high protein based meal, who can't afford feed. So it was more the greater good than anything. And if I could be part of that, I thought it was a very, very feasible venture to go into. So it was not so much for self, but really for the communities and for the country. And yes, definitely for the region as a whole as well, to be part of the players in the market that are actually doing more harm, more good than harm.
I'm curious, did you ever have the reaction that most people have when you first discovered that fly farming was a thing? Or for you, was it just, this could be something that I could end up doing?
Yes, actually, to a T with what you said, it was actually, it was like an aha moment.
Wow.
I remember sitting at my desk in front of my laptop when I saw the first video, and I actually zoomed in, and I was like,
Whoa.
interesting. It was really intriguing because for me, it was presented as an edible insect. So
And you're familiar with those.
Exactly, very familiar. So it was something that was achievable, something I knew wouldn't be welcomed, which has been the case. I've been part of several programs where you wait for your turn to be asked, so what do you do? And then you say, I farm flies. And you get all the questions, and a lot of people have like several questions asking, why flies? My response is, why not? Because we're living in times where innovation is key. We're living in times where you have to think outside the box.
Right.
What if we were a country that was dependent on imports solely? How then were we going to survive agriculturally? How are we going to survive in terms of, just feeding people? So it's really a time where you actually have to think outside the box and look at the benefits that are outweighing, the negative sides of it, if at all there are any.
So where did you get your first flies?
I baited it. And this I must say, this was part of the reason why I was sort of sluggish in starting up. I had conversations with a lot of entomologists in the field before I started up. I was researching and looking, is it viable? Are these indigenous to Zambia? And I was told no. So I said, okay, I'll try and import them. And that was a bit of a struggle because you really have to make sure, obviously it can't be genetically modified. There are all these checks and balances you have to go through, and it was just a dead end. I remember filling out paperwork and just never submitting it because I just thought it was going through the motions without having to get to the end of this actual journey. So one day I decided to go out to our farm and to bait them. After doing my research and looking to how to bait a fly, I went ahead and did it. And it took a while. I remember I actually forgot about it, and I had my caretaker there one day call me, very excited, telling me that, he was pretty sure
that it's happened.
Exactly. And so I started prototyping. So again, you had no one to ask at this stage, what do you do? I sort of went through the motions and learned, and I'm still learning.
Trial and error.
Exactly.
So at some point you realized, okay, this is definitely happening. I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And this is going to be an alternative feed and fertilizer. And eventually she's going to try to feed it to us.
After it's been certified.
Yes. But all in all, how would you describe your journey? Would you say that it has been rewarding all the way through?
Very rewarding. I have been part of a cohort, a program called the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, which is being implemented here in Zambia by WIAC, as well as the American Embassy. It came to, we graduated August of this year, and it was very fulfilling.
Tell us about your experience with WIAC.
It gave me the opportunity to gain confidence in myself and in my idea. It gave me, networking abilities and skills as well. I got to meet so many people coming from different backgrounds and different businesses. I also got to learn more about how to finance my business, how to just stay afloat in business. So it gave me, all in all, much needed tools, the tools that I needed to sort of go out in the world and say, my name is Priscilla Musenge and I'm the founder of Entomo. So it was very rewarding. In addition to that, we do have a few other milestones or breakthroughs in terms of other programs. We are also one of the grant winners of the UNDP waste management program, which came to an end not so long ago. So it's been very rewarding. It's a step in the right direction, I want to believe, because these are all signs for me that regardless of where you're coming from, regardless of who you are, you need to keep your eye on the ball. You need to focus on your dream. You need to focus and believe in yourself and just keep going. So yeah, it's been.
I like that direction that you're taking. So other than remember the name, what are the other things that you'd like to tell the youth and the people that are trying to figure out their paths, the people that are watching at home? What are your last words to them?
My last words are really to believe in yourself, to stay hungry. Staying hungry really is thinking outside the box, is what do you bring? Is it a chicken? How are you doing it? Are you creating value? Are you smoking it? Is it tomatoes? Are you pureeing it? Stay hungry, believe in yourself, and just keep focusing, keep pushing. There is room for everyone. I know that the biggest hurdle, something I faced myself, was actually access to capital.
Right.
But in this day of COVID, it's so exciting to see the amount of call for proposals, for grants. We need to just be on the lookout, keep our eyes and ears on the ground, and see what's available for us, especially as women and youth. It's very encouraging to see that there are a lot of calls, there are a lot of grants. So it's really just to believe in yourself, eye on the ball, and to stay hungry.
And lastly, to your prospective clients and the people that have already said no.
They need to rethink their answer, because in as much as conventional feed have been here and have come to stay, I think in times where a lot of people are looking health and fitness and organic, it's something to take on board and consider, because you have clients. You're looking at clients who are just organic, and so they want to make sure the chicken they're eating is organic. You have clients that don't mind whether it's conventional or organic. So to actually look at the possibility of it, what I tend to do with the program, that the capacity building and we're actually looking into outgrowers as well, is to just test it for farmers who would-be clients. Come and test it with us. Come and watch our journey. Just come and see and learn, and then see if it's something you're still looking at doing. With our plans of looking to incorporate it into food snacks, I think with time, at that point, maybe the perception would have changed. It's definitely something worth trying, something worth considering, because it's definitely, I think insects are the future of food.
Okay. Priscilla, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
It's been very, very intriguing and informative. We will definitely be keeping an eye on you and wish you the very best.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Thank you.
All right, so that's been a Startup, and that's our show for today. Thank you for joining.